as a member of the tourism family, we constantly preach Nigeria, travel Nigeria. The Presidential Council on Tourism has been reactivated by the Honorable Minister Alhaji Lai Mohammed. This council seeks to pull together all ministers who are part of the value chain of tourism: transportation, aviation, roadworks, housing, the entire, because if we look at just the tourism minister, he is limited in what he can do to better, affect the entire value chain. So the Presidential Council on Tourism brings together all the ministers to understand that we need roads to Idori. We need roads to, certain places. For instance, this Christmas, Onitsha is going to be hosting a Golibe festival for the first time from the 24th, I think, to the 31st of December. The idea is to bring people from all over the world, to come back home, and then Nigerians as well from all over Nigeria to come to Onitsha for 1 week for this festival. That in itself is a vacation. And I do believe that it's not only when you actually take a room in a hotel. Going to a buka, going to a palm wine joint, like all of us do, is part of the tourism value chain. The issue is we don't gather data. We're still at infancy with gathering data. So I truly believe that the value tourism brings to Nigerian GDP is way higher than is currently assumed. And that's because we don't yet have the right data. I know the Honorable Minister is working with the UNWTO on setting up a data gathering mechanism that allows us to then know what the value tourism truly brings to the family. But our promise at NIHOTOUR is to further strengthen the quality of training that we give to the people who work in the industry, and to push and push and push with our stakeholders for them to make sure that they train their staff.
In terms of training, what are the most obvious gaps you find in the meantime?
Very small things, very, very small things. Communication, very small things like communication. You walk into most hotels, communication gaps are there. They either can't address the client properly, they can't understand what the client is trying to communicate and therefore meet those needs. Simple things like a checklist. To know that you clean this toilet, for instance, every 3 hours. A checklist, a simple thing like a checklist that has the names of all of us, and we must sign if we've cleaned it. Very simple things, are the areas where we truly fail. Most of our properties are beautiful, and the owners have spent a lot of money buying the right furniture and all of that. But the skills gap, very simple skills gap, are where we truly have a lot of problems with. And that's all to do with training. A young man doesn't know that he's supposed to wipe the table after he takes off your glass. He leaves it. There's a mark on the table. And then you come 2 days later, you're wondering, why is this place looking like this? And then we really also don't appreciate accessible tourism. A lot of the properties are built without real planning in terms of for people who are physically challenged. So again, we completely, almost immediately, take out a section of our population because they can't go to hotels. The light switch is too high for him on his wheelchair. There's no ramp for his wheelchair to go in and out. Very simple things like this. But we're working at that as well at the National Mirror Committee for Tourism. It's an ISO committee on standardization for Nigeria. We're beginning to adapt certain standards, and we're hoping to work on so many more this year. Part of those standards will be a real focus on accessible tourism. Like one of the young chaps from their group said to me, he said, "Madam, everyone is physically challenged at one point in time or the other." He gave me an example. He said, "Madam, go to Russia. Do you speak Russian?" I said, "No." He said, you walk out of the airport in Russia and all the signs are in Russian language. No English anywhere. You speak to someone in English, they respond in Russian and say, they can't understand you. Immediately, you're in trouble. Instantly, you are disabled. So that we look at disability just purely from the point of physical disabilities, but there's quite a lot. If I'm Yoruba and I go to Onitsha, for instance, and no one can explain to me anything, I don't find anyone, instantly I'm looking for the next vehicle, if I can find one out of Onitsha. So there are quite a lot of issues. We must work on our standardization, and then we must engage the stakeholders to execute, because it's one thing to say Nigeria has adopted 1, 2, 3, 4 standards, beautiful, laudable, but execution. which falls to the stakeholders.
All right, Mrs. Balogun, thank you very much. Let's return to Lucky George, who's with us via Skype. If we can get him back on the screen, right, you can see him there on the right-hand side. Give us a sense from your perspective of what perhaps we will need to do, particularly from the side of the operators, in order to help give a boost to a holiday culture, vacation or tourism, or however you may wish to call it, so that we get away from what is clearly observable now, that you have tour operators, some of them, who do no more than sell tickets to you. They have no connection with transporters, whether by land transportation, rail transportation, air transportation. They have no connection whatsoever with accommodation providers. They have no connection, with the destinations that they are selling you a ticket to go to. How can we get away from this current silo mentality and have an integrated approach? I'm sure if you walked into any tour operator and said, listen, this is where I want to go to, you will have a clear roadmap as to what you would do, what discounts you would get, what the challenges would be, and you can anticipate it and have a proper contract.
Thank you for having me back. I think there's a problem here. There's a lack of understanding of how the tourism industry works. Let me take, for instance, Zimbabwe. The country is promoted as a whole package. It is the duty of government, the government of Nigeria, to sell, to articulate, and put together what we should sell to Nigerians as domestic tourism consumption, and of course to international tourists who are willing to visit. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Tourism and of course the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation has not been able to define and articulate what we should put together and sell to Nigerians. How many times have you seen NTDC adverts? That is the sales and promotion agency of the Nigerian government when it comes to tourism on even NTA. They don't. So what is done all over the world, it is the responsibility of government first and foremost to articulate what it has to sell and how it wants to sell it, either for domestic consumption or for international consumption. So this is where it starts from. The issue of the tour operators and the travel agent is even immaterial here, because it's only when people are coming that the tour operators are making money. At the moment, what we have, we are only pushing tourists to other parts of the world. We are a tourist generating market. We generate tourists for other parts of the world. We don't receive. What we receive as tourists is insignificant. We cannot put a figure on it to say this is what we have. And I can tell you from what FAN and the Airport Authority have released over the year is the number of travelers. They don't single out how many are Nigerians or how many are Nigerians returning home. So this is a problem. I wish you have COCA, the DG of the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, to tell us what it's doing. It's been there for a while now. Have you seen a single advert on the papers promoting one attraction or the other? The answer is no. So people that have been appointed to do their jobs must be held accountable and not be seen as doing their job. Everywhere in the world, I've been educating Nigerians over the years. It is the responsibility of the Nigerian government to promote Nigeria as a destination to either to foreigners or even within the country. This is what is done all over the world. I have been involved in several countries. I was the National Publicity Secretary of the Tourism Federation in Nigeria. I was a member of the Abuja Carnival Committee some years back. I was a member of the task force set up by ECOWAS. And I can tell you, it's only in Nigeria that we don't get it right. I pity the woman talking there because our own is to train. But I can tell you, in our whole aspect, she has achieved some results. But I can tell you in the area of marketing and promotion, which is at the crux of the matter, what are we doing to get more Nigerians to travel within Nigeria? The roads are bad, I've just told you. The airline ticket, where is our national carrier? How many Nigerians can afford to fly one-way ticket to Calabar for 45,000 naira? The other day I was going to Calabar because I didn't buy ticket a month ahead. I ended up paying 42,000 naira. So how many Nigerians can afford to do that? So until we have a national carrier that is coming up now, it will simplify the mode of travel, to bring down the cost of travel for a lot of Nigerians so that the tour operators we talked about will be able to have jobs to do. At the moment, how many tour operators are really in business? There are no real tour operators in Nigeria. They are all travel agents, like you rightly pointed out. So until the government And of course, eventually when the government set up what we call our tourism industry, like the way it's done all over the world, it is only then that the private sector can key in. Tourism is not the responsibility of the private sector. The Nigerian elite has, or the so-called economists and the tourism experts, have misled the Nigerian government over the years, and we must retrace our route. What we must do is to ensure that the government takes back its tourism industry. And don't forget, when we made tourism and information and culture together, that took away the strength and the character of the tourism industry. Having a tourism ministry does not take anything away from our budget, does not take so much money from the system in order to add more value. We need our Ministry of Tourism and Culture back. That is what we must start from. Again, I ask the question, where is the Director General of the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, Folani Koka? Because when you are discussing a national issue like this, that has been seen all over the world, that has been watched by all Nigerians, we must ask question, where is Folani Koka? And that is one answer I need from you.
Okay, George, thanks a lot for your perspective, but I would like to, the question I put to you, I would like the other guests here in the studio here to also respond to that question. I'm coming to Mrs. Aderonke at Timson. When are we going to have tour operators get away from the current practice of probably just being nothing but a sales agency, for airlines? Sell tickets, get your commission, and that's the end. If you're looking for package tours, it is not, I mean, when you say holiday, if you break it down, you can walk into, the offices of a tour operator and say, listen, I'm planning my vacation for 2 weeks at such and such a place. What advice can you give me? What do I need to do? Why is it that we don't have such services in Nigeria on a continuous basis, not in Abuja, in different parts of the country? You have no connection with hoteliers, you have no connection with ground transport operators, no connection with airlines, no connection with train. And we're thinking of having the structured holiday culture.
Well, thank you very much. That is the next phase of our business. Because a travel that is just on ticketing very soon will be out of business. A professional travel agent, tour operator must have contact with hotels, the standard of hotels, must have connection with the car, vehicle, airport taxis, buses, then must be able to package a 2-day, 3-day, 4-day tour. Right now, some of our colleagues are still in ticketing because that is the basis, that is how they started. But the world is changing and we have to change with time, because hotels in Nigeria, I want to tell you, they are fantastic. But each time, as a person, as a company, when we have international guys coming in to look into, first thing I check, which puts some of us off, is their beddings. You can hardly get a hotel that has, I'm sorry, that's my opinion, but that's what I've seen. These sheets that are really sparkling clean.
And you say they are fantastic?
No, I'm trying to, where I'm going is this. So, but with working with them now, we are encouraging them. When we go in to check, we say, can you put this in order? Can you put this in order? And for your car, can you make sure your air conditioners are working? Because when Nigerians want to come home, I tell you, Nigerians want to come home. A lot of Nigerians out there want to come visit their family. Some, they don't even have, they don't want to stay with family and members. They just want to stay in an hotel and spend their holiday, then go back home. And you have to tell them, these guys, they are Nigerians, yes. Let's say we are looking at Nigerians coming home right now, not even the visitors once in a while. They've been out for a while and they've seen the other side of the world. They need comfort. So we should, as tour operator, be able to package a comfortable tour program for them. Apart from visiting your family, there are destinations, there are places you can visit. There are places you can go, like Madam said, joints, buka, all these hot spots. night out. Arrange night out for them. They don't want to just come and say...
Night out, including point and kill.
I'm telling you, and it's so nice because it's a story they will never finish talking about. So we call you, madam, if you are arranging another thing, you remember that place we visited? I say yes. They don't need all those Oyibo, I'm sorry if I put it that way, those Western world. They really want to come home and enjoy that Nigerian culture vacation, and they will forever live with it. And I want to encourage our colleagues, just do one program at a time. Package program. We have lovely places in Abuja, in Lagos, in Calabar. Places you get there, you'll be shocked that this thing is just wasting away. We need adventure. You know, Nigerians, we have to get that adventurous spirit that, I must find out. I'll tell you something. Hiking is wonderful. And you can do hiking. I love hiking. And you can hike as vacation. You just come after 2 days with your family, we arrange. You can arrange to just go on a hike 1 or 2 days. And it's something you don't normally do
hike
where
up, you'll be able to hike down.
Yes, you can. You can. This is nice.
These are all lofty ideas. So I'm just going to go to Chikeze now. These are all lofty ideas that we just... even hearing about it, you start dreaming about it. But there are a lot of factors inhibiting this. Everybody would like to take some time off and just relax, view the sceneries. But there's, like I said, and like some of our guests have been saying, there are a lot of inhibitions. For example, there are so many issues affecting a lot of families. Let's put population. It might seem insignificant, but if somebody has 6 to 8 children, and then the wife is there, how do you carry everybody and say, we want to go to this place? Then there are also some religious influences too. You want to go and watch Osun Osogbo Festival, and somebody is telling you are going for idolatry. It's not in tandem with your religion. There are so many issues. How do we overcome these issues so that we can enjoy life?
Thank you. First of all, I need to state here that there's a difference between tour operator and travel agent. Some companies combine both, so they have capacity to do both. A tour operator packages the tour. You pay one price. So he does the visa advisory, travel advisory, accommodation, hotel flights, excursions, tours, everything, cruises. He does it, or the company does it for you. The travel agent sells a ticket, but he can also sell the tour that has been packaged by a tour operator. We'll go into that if the time permits. For your last question, a family that has 6 people, 6 children and mother and father, that's 8 of them. A lot depends on planning. You have to plan. You don't just start, oh, I want to go on holiday today. It's going to be very expensive for you, even if you're traveling abroad. You're going to pay the price as at that day. But if you say, look, you discuss with your wife and the children, we want to go on holiday or want to go on vacation, be it just outside Abuja, be it Plateau State. There's a snake farm, I understand, just around the corner. There are so many things around the corner. You plan for it. That's why some tour operators, like my company, we have this PSS. It's a new concept, pay small, small. Backstage, DJ and I were talking about pay now, buy now, pay later. Madam, credit is difficult these days. So what we have done is pay small, small.
Once you're done, it's...
Yes, pay small, small. You pay 25% to the tour operator and tell him, look, after looking at all the packages that he or she has or they have, you decide the one that you can afford in the next 4 or 5 months. You make a deposit, which is a commitment, and they put together things for you. And then the next 2 months or 1 month, you pay another 25 or 30%. Subsequently, just a week to the time or 2 weeks to the time, you pay the balance. That way, you tie it to your income. But it must not be, when we talk vacation, everybody thinks abroad. For God's sake, it's not everybody that can afford these vacations abroad. So for people who can afford, well, it's up to you. You want to do that, go ahead. But for people who cannot afford that, take time off. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days off work. Go, take your family out, especially during this vacation, the holiday, school holiday periods. Take your children out. Take them to a place. If you're living in Onitsha, you're living in Calabar, you're living in Uyo, you're living in Kano, you're living in Kaduna, there are places close by that you can take your family to, but you must have planned it. That's the difference between us and the foreigners who plan their vacations. And you see some foreigners, when they go on vacation, they don't carry their cell phones. But our people, we have our laptop with us, even at the beach. So let's come back to the basics. Let's see our environments first. I know the infrastructure is a problem for us. Roads, power, and security. Concerns. Yes, security concerns. But then there are places that you can still explore without having these issues. I tell you, one of the very unfortunate situations we had, 2003, we had a group of Italian gentlemen that came to Nigeria, a professor and a group of people came. They came to watch butterflies in Nigeria. You can imagine such a thing. We took them to 3 locations in Nigeria, just behind Zuma Rock, one near Calabar, and then one near Kwei in Kaduna State. They were so excited. The next time they planned to come with 27 people. 3 days before that, 6 a.m. in the morning, my staff called me that this professor called. There's a bomb blast in Bauchi. And one of the places we had planned for them to go was to go to a particular place near Gombe to watch the butterflies because we identified the locations they needed. And that trip was cancelled. They had to go to Madagascar. But the man told me that the first night of watching butterflies in Abuja, just near Abuja, was his best night watching butterflies. In 20 years, he has watched butterflies all his life.
Yes, that's fine. I mean, there's no doubt about that, that we have, there are some challenges that impede domestic tourism and indeed cross-border tourism. But in terms of packaging your holiday or your vacation, internally or otherwise, I want to repeat that question, this time to Joseph Karim. Yes, you try to make a distinction, Chike try to make a distinction between travel agents and tour operators. Those who are familiar with these things will say, look, it's a distinction without a difference. Do tour operators themselves even have the capacity to package a tour? A few years ago, I saw some open roof double-decker bus in Abuja. I haven't seen that now. Maybe they took it back to London or somewhere. I haven't seen it anywhere else. And there are other tourism locations. If I say, look, package a tour for persons who are coming to Lokoja, for instance, can somebody do that? Or package a tour, to some other location. We have foreigners pouring in here every day. Why is it that we have tour operators who are operating mainly in silos?
Okay, great. I am a tour operator myself. I'm not a travel agent. Now, we have lots of structural issues when it comes to the business in Nigeria. But what you are encountering, sir, is that we have lots more of travel agents than tour operators. And there's a problem with the nomenclature. You see travel and tours. Most travel agencies are XYZ, travel and tours, travel and tours. Meanwhile, they are only capable of doing the ticketing and not the tours, right? For you to be a tour operator, you must have the knowledge and contacts with different service providers for you to be able to put together different individual services together into a single package. So that is a challenge. It is a lack of the knowledge of packaging these tours. So it is easier for you to go onto a computer system, right, and book a ticket than to package a tour because you have to individually interact with those service providers, get excellent rates, right, and sell it as a product. So 90% of the travel companies in Nigeria are actually travel agents. Forget that you see travel and tours on their signage. They don't have the wherewithal to do tours, really. There are very few tour operators. I have an online tour operating company, holidaynigeria.ng. We have tours to different parts of Nigeria for 5 days, for 3 days, for 1 week, for 2 weeks. Name it, every part of Nigeria we have full inclusive tour packages. So, but be that as it may, Lucky George said something very, very important. Part of the challenge that we have that is hampering domestic tourism in Nigeria is Nigerians themselves do not know where are the tourist destinations themselves. So we end up going outside when we can actually get a cheaper tour package in Nigeria? That's a challenge. Most of us do not know. So we have to come up with a marketing strategy for tourism in Nigeria. That is our biggest albatross. There is little knowledge about places to go to in Nigeria, either as a family or as a business person that has just 2 days just to go and spend. Right? People are totally in the dark as per where to go and see. Sometimes you have these tourists, inbound tourists, when they come in, they tell you they spent hours online searching for tour operators in Nigeria. They only see travel agents. You understand? So we have lots and lots.
And that's the area you people in that line should work on so that we can...
We saw recently what happened with some young persons who went to Russia for the World Cup and how they got abandoned, you know, on account of, I don't know, some misdeeds that occurred with regard to their ticketing. And that's sell ticket, collect your commission, you're on your own. All right, we have reactions coming in from our viewers, and these are by way of tweets. They've used our Twitter handle. You can see it on the screen there at NTA GMN. Let's take the tweets.
Yes, King's Dada says, holiday culture could be cultivated from elementary years. Nigerian pupils don't appropriately utilize holidays. They take stretches of classes or help in routine businesses of parents. It can't be different when they are adults. The culture should change.
Dele Jack Solomon has this tweet. Most Nigerians must learn how to take some time off work for vacation, at least 2 times in a year, aside the national holidays. This is because Christmas and New Year and Salah holidays are only periods most Nigerians take time to relax. Holidaying is good for the body and soul.
Cecilia Okoroma says, let us not preach the culture of traveling abroad as the real way of enjoying holiday. How many foreigners come to Nigeria on holiday?
Awunoji Joshua tweets, dwindling purchasing power is a threat to our holiday culture, even within the same city or state, but the culture is good to our economy and integration.
And Festus Akimboyewa says, with our country recovering from recession and millions of people jobless and in poverty, the fiscal impact of many public holidays in Nigeria should be a concern to our treasury keepers and Nigerians. Time government at all levels know that public holidays cost our economy a fortune.
Sani Michael Omakoji tweets now that there are no tourist places to visit in Nigeria to enjoy a holiday is not completely true. We do have more than enough, but how do you expect Nigerians who are living below $1 a day to go for holiday? Our word of reality is that our standard of living is poor.
And in other parts of the world, that's according to Dele Jack Solomon, local travel and visitation are considered part of development, the gift of recreation and bonding with an end result to help connect national unity, encourage rural economic development, generate and sustain cultural revival, provide platforms for stress-free living and love for humanity. Sadly, we haven't taken holiday culture seriously in Nigeria. We must learn from the developed world like the US, UK, Spain, Israel, and then so many others, even Kenya. Thank you very much.
Kenya cannot be even. I mean, tourism is one of the sources of their income. And Lucky George,
I'm sure he said even because it's Africa as well.
Yeah, well, Lucky George joined us via Skype, was talking about Zimbabwe earlier, and I should maybe buttress the point he's making because I want to pose my next question to Mrs. Chika Balogun, who is DG of the Institute for Hospitality and Tourism. We were saying, listen, Zimbabwe, this is how they package their tours. At a time, and it still is, Zimbabwe was a global financial basket case. You could see, I mean, you had a banknote that was some 1 trillion Zimbabwean dollars, but they still managed to keep certain aspects of their tourism. If you went to the Victoria Falls area, for instance, they managed to keep that. And one of the critical elements that you need for tourism, medical rescue services. Mrs. Timsey was talking about hiking. I said, if you hike up and you hike down, what happens? I mean, you can have a fall. I mean, a tourist can have a fall or a hiker can have a fall. What are the medical support services available? That's why my question is going to Mrs. Chika Balogun. when we look at the entire value chain for holidaying, let's not just say tourism now, for holidaying, you're already seeing aspects, for instance, with relating to accommodation, you know, the kind of nuisance that you will find with a hotel, you know, bed bugs or unruly staff or who don't just know what to do, you know, prices of items that are scandalously high. But these other aspects are critical. Transportation, ground transportation, air transportation. Are you also thinking about this medical air rescue services? And indeed, the tour operators themselves, not travel agents, how do you get them to eject them from ticketing mode into tour operator mode?
Thank you very much. At NIHOTA, we actually have a tour operations program, you know, as one of our certificate all the way to postgraduate diploma training programs. So I do believe that the core of it is training. A lot of people get into the tourism business as ticketing agents or tour operators, quote and unquote, without the requisite training. Many of them open their businesses and then start to look for someone who has IATA certification to help them even do the ticketing in the first instance. Nothing falls from heaven. You must train yourself to understand the different segments of what you need to do. Chike said to us that you need to communicate with the people who have the hotels, transport companies and all of that. Seek for discounted rates because that's what you're offering to me as a tour package. Otherwise, there's no point coming to you. And then put it together in a holistic manner that still gives me a final tag price that is cheaper than if I went to source those individual items myself. And then follow through on that particular tour until I come back and give a commendation for the services that you rendered to me. But you won't know that just waking up and deciding I want to be a tour operator. You need to get trained. And after your formal training, you need to do internship with a proper business who is already operating that way. Quite a lot of times we overlook the very core importance of internship. Most people get into business and think they already know it. I'd advise that people who want to become tour operators, after you do your formal training, do your internship with a company that is already doing it, even if it's for as little as 3 months. It lets you understand the back end of the business and the front end of the business. It gives you very easily contacts within the business for you to be able to further develop your own. When it comes to medical evacuation issues or challenges in Nigeria, I'd say that that's an area that we're still at infancy. It's not something that has been put together in a holistic sense. Most of us still either pray when we're ill, don't even know our medical stats. So my heart is not good, I have no clue, I go hiking, I don't come back. You know, and then we say my village people killed me because I went to the village last week, you know, and all of that. So we need to as well move away from some of our impeding cultural norms and begin to become more realistic, more in tune with the 21st century. Then those services will improve. Because if you're a medical person, for instance, and you bring in the ambulances, you bring in the helicopters, you bring in everything, put together a good investment package and get investors to get into your business, how many uptakers would you have? Because the people who are supposed to pay for your business or, you know, take up your business are praying. You know, and we've reduced everything to going to mountains and going to rivers. And the reality is that God says wisdom profits to direct. And without knowledge, my people perish. We're supposed to get knowledgeable. We're supposed to train our minds and develop our businesses as first go-to. And that area is certainly not yet developed in Nigeria.
Cheryl, that's one. I know you're itching to say something. One area, again, we'd like the guests to speak to this. Ratings for facilities, say accommodation. Yes. Where, I mean, if you meet a tour operator or let's say a travel agent, I want to travel to some location in Nigeria, that's available. What are the accommodation facilities that I would encounter? 1 star, 2 star, 3 star? Everybody brags about being 5-star, this, 2-star. Everybody just brags. When are we going to have standardization of, you know, accommodation facilities?
When you get there, a 4-star hotel is nothing. Nothing.
It looks sometimes lower than an inn.
Yes, I'll take that first and say that it is a challenge because there's this gray area in terms of where tourism is placed.
The benefits that accrued in school sports. It is the bedrock.
I have made it clear that this government will not allow the wanton diversion and the embezzlement of public funds into private pockets.
Tough times await looters as federal government receives audit report on recovered assets. Rays of hope for not too young to run wing of the APC as President Buhari formally receives nomination forms. Lagos-Ibadan rail line to be delivered in December as other subsectors of transportation receive utmost attention. Hello and thank you for joining us on NTA Network News with me, Kenen Ima Abodike in Abuja. Hengino John Adams is in Lagos, Jumei Yusuf is in Maiduguri, and Salamatu Umar Abdullahi joins us from Sokoto. The federal government says it will continue to take all the necessary measures towards not only eliminating corruption, but depriving looters of public assets the fruits of their crimes until Nigeria triumphs over the cankerworm for a prosperous economic status. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the assurance while receiving the report of the Presidential Committee set up to audit recovered assets by ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
In 4 volumes contain, among others, detailed schedule of cash and non-cash recoveries after a holistic audit of the recovered public assets towards ensuring proper management and accountability, as well as preventing possible relooting of same.
The committee's findings and recommendations will truly assist the government's efforts to ensure that recovered assets are accounted for and managed in an accurate, transparent, and logical manner.
President Muhammadu Buhari described the submission of the report as a significant milestone in the fight against corruption, a project he described as very crucial to the development of the nation's democratic governance.
I have made it clear that this government will not allow the wanton diversion and the embezzlement of public funds into private pockets. Thus, we intend to continue taking all necessary measures to deprive looters of public assets of the fruits of their crimes. We must utilize proceeds of our recoveries optimally to address our economic and social problems, and loopholes for stealing public funds must be blocked.
The president, who promised that the report will be carefully examined for implementation, said the nation's assets recovery and management system will be transparently, effectively, and efficiently managed by setting out a fresh template of public accountability.
However, a key tool that will revolutionize our asset recovery and management architecture is the Proceeds of Crimes Bill, which is currently awaiting passage by the National Assembly. Once the bill is passed and assented, many of the challenges facing our assets recovery and management practice would be adequately taken care of.
Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami announced that about 770 billion naira has so far been recovered in the renewed fight against corruption.
It cannot be gainsaid that this administration has been committed to the fight against corruption with an unusual sense of duty and commitment such as has never been seen before in this country.
The minister said the use of recovered funds will be effectively monitored by government, while all projects to which such funds are applied are captured in the nation's annual budgets or special appropriations where necessary. The 3-man audit committee on the recovered assets was set up in November last year. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has formally received the expression of interest and presidential nomination forms bought for him by the Nigerian Consolidation Ambassadors Network, asking all other groups with similar offer to reassign their contributions to the not-too-young-to-run wing of the APC. The president said any remaining fund raised for his nomination forms should also be used in supporting the aspirations of the young, competent and dynamic future leaders whom he believes have a lot to contribute. Again, State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
It was a solemn but significant event full of emotions as the young Nigerian professionals under the auspices of Nigeria Consolidation Ambassadors Network formally presented the 45 million naira expression of interest and nomination forms to President Muhammadu Buhari as part of their contributions to the renewal of his mandate. President Buhari said he is not only grateful but highly honored by the gesture of the patriotic Nigerians who believe in the principles of the governing APC as well as its genuine commitment to changing Nigeria positively. The president, who went down memory lane on the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of his political journey so far, described as verifiable the giant strides recorded by the governing APC in critical economic sectors since coming to power in 2015.
Our fight against corruption is also yielding results. The strict implementation of the Treasury single account has stopped the leakages in government activities. Our aggressive anti-corruption campaign has shown that it is no longer business as usual.
The achievements, President Buhari said, have not been easy, as corruption, for instance, has been fighting back from within and without.
Today, I am pleased to say the weakest among us, whose selfish expectations do not align with our selfish vision, have exited our party. Thank you. I am not through yet. We now have a party of strong and patriotic individuals who are ready, willing, and able to continue on this journey of building a strong, secure, self-sufficient, and corruption-free Nigeria.
The Deputy Chairman, Board of Trustees, Nigeria Consolidation Ambassadors Network, Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, said the desired consolidation of the Change Nigeria project for a sustainable future informed the decision of the nearly 3 million members of the group to encourage President Muhammadu Buhari to seek re-election.
These ambassadors reached a AAA assessment of the performance of this government. Nigerians, for the first time in many years, can see a leader who painstakingly takes decisions solely on the basis of national interest, above his or anyone else. A leader who belongs to all and behoving to only our country and God.
The Chairman, Board of Trustees, and the National Coordinator, Nigeria Consolidation Ambassadors Network, speak on the next line of action.
We'll go back to trenches, we'll appeal to Nigerians, beg, cajole, prove to them that, look, this is the best president that Nigeria has ever had to date, and that we call on Nigerians and other people to cooperate and help in ensuring President Muhammadu Buhari is re-elected in 2019.
Because we believe what we are doing is an investment for the future. Investment on us and investment on our children and those who will come after.
President Muhammadu Buhari is now expected to submit the completed forms at the national headquarters of the APC on Wednesday as a prerequisite for him to contest the presidential primaries of the governing party and perhaps as a sole aspirant. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Eta Enang, has reaffirmed the commitment of the President's administration to continue the good works it has been doing in Akwa Ibom in particular and the South-South in general, like any other region in the country, for the good of all. Senator Enang stated this on behalf of the President at a rally in Eket Senatorial District. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
Eket senatorial district of Akwa Ibom consists of majority of the political players in the state. Presidential aide on National Assembly Matters Senate said President Buhari is happy with the achievement recorded by Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in the region, especially in areas of erosion control and road construction. Eta Enang reiterated President Buhari's promise that APC will conduct an open and transparent primary election to select party members that will fly its flag in the 2019 general elections.
On behalf of His Excellency, Mr. President, I thank you for this solidarity rally, and I want to say that the President accepted to return, to rerun again, and will cooperate with all of you.
Senator Godswill Okwabio called on the people of the senatorial district to support the continuation of APC-led administration in 2019, which have so far come up with positive programs in the state.
I want you to say that Buhari is coming in 2019. Yes. So Buhari,
other speakers like Chief Don Etiebet, Eme Ikaite, Omana Okon Omana, and Eseme Eibo pledged their unflinching support to the president. Abdullahi Musa Sulija, NTA News.
The office of the governorship of Gombe State has attracted a banker politician, Mohammed Jibril Barde, who has expressed interest to run for the office in 2019 election on the platform of APC. Mohammed Jibril Barde was at the party's headquarters in Abuja to collect nomination and expression of interest form. Political correspondent Salihu Abdullahi tells us more.
Mohammed Jibril Barde, in company with his supporters, coming into the APC National Secretariat with pageantry.
I'm here today to return my expression of interest and nomination form for the office of the governorship of Gombe State. I am an aspirant under the party of the APC, and I'm hoping to win the nomination of my party and then eventually go and contest against any other party for the benefit of the good people of Gombe State.
After a career as a banker for 24 years, where he rose to the position of a managing director, Barde feels it is time to offer himself for the office of governor for better service delivery.
Every single indigene of Gombe State is looking forward to the right person that will be able to provide the kind of leadership that is required to take the state to the greater heights. They are very hard-working people. They are very intelligent people.
He is optimistic that his wealth of experience will enable him harness the natural potentials of Gombe State for all-round development. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, says its attention has been drawn to the announcement of consensus candidates for elected positions in some states. A statement by the acting National Publicity Secretary of the party, Yekini Nabena, says it is important to make some clarifications to enlighten party faithful on the procedure for nominating candidates. The statement explains that the party constitution clearly provides for the option of consensus on the condition where only one person and no other aspirant signify interest through purchase of nomination forms for the position in question. It says the consensus does not foreclose direct or indirect primaries for all elected positions as contained in the resolution of the 6th meeting of the party's National Executive Committee, NEC. Now, strategy for security arrangements preparatory to the 2019 general election is underway in all ramifications. Timothy Yusuf reports on the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security held in Abuja.
More often than not, the issue of election security matters as dynamic as the conduct of elections itself cannot be treated with levity. In this connection, the election umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, convened this meeting involving all security agencies in the country to forge the way forward. Under the auspices of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, the committee is looking at the nitty-gritty and the demands on security to the peaceful conduct of the 2019 general elections.
There will, of course, be full enforcement of election laws.
It is a consensus of the general gatherings that vote buying and other electoral infractions will vehemently be nipped in the bud and dealt with by all concerned.
It is very important for you to pass this message down the line to all your operatives. Any coloration of complicity by any of your staff will be viewed with the seriousness it deserves.
The meeting held at the INEC headquarters with all the security agencies, including the military and the paramilitary, and other relevant stakeholders, urged the electorate and all Nigerians to be stakeholders in the fundamentals of democratic tenets of election by conducting themselves as good citizens of the nation and not only avoid violence but should promote peace during the election period and thereafter. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Meanwhile, ahead of the 2019 general elections, the federal government has advised against the use of any form of electoral violence by politicians and party supporters to ensure a free and fair election process in the country. A statement from the Ministry of Interior says the government will not fold its arms and watch politicians throw the country into chaos and unrest. The statement says the Minister of Interior, General Dambazao, has directed security agencies to ensure adequate security of lives and property before and during the elections, in line with the policy direction of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. He emphasized that the possession of any type of weapons during elections or rallies may attract arrest and prosecution. The minister also advised youth in the country not to allow themselves to be used by desperate politicians at the detriment of the future. Security of lives and property, as well as impacting the lives of the citizenry through meaningful projects, have remained the priority of the Buhari administration. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo stated this while interacting with the Christian community in Calabar, Cross River State. Justina Atim has details.
The meeting was an opportunity for Christians to rub minds with the Vice President on topical issues affecting Christians and the progress of Nigeria. Ironing out concerns raised by Christian religious leaders, the Vice President dispelled insinuations that the farmers and herders' clashes are religiously motivated, noting that the conflict is rather a fight for acquisition of more land for grazing. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo maintained that all over the globe, Christians have always been a contributory force to the enthronement of good governance and sued for religious tolerance.
Try to do over time is to ensure safety and security across the country. And in the various parts of the country, Benue, in Plateau, recently in Zamfara State, where some of these killings have taken place, you have seen the deployment of troops, the deployment of the police. You know, in Benue, for example, I'm sure that you would also have noticed that there has been relative calm in many of these places.
The visit to Calabar also took the market. We interacted with traders who benefited from the federal government's Enterprise and Empowerment Program, JEEP. Traders' money is part of federal government's efforts at providing collateral-free loans to petty traders to boost their businesses. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
A special town hall meeting to discuss the federal government's effort to curb killings across the country has held in Gusau, Zamfara State. Participants say the Buhari administration is on the right path and Nigerians should commend the gallant Nigerian security personnel. Anthony Folsom reports on the submission of Professor Abubakar Sadiq Mohammed.
Reinterpretation of the farmers-herders conflict in Nigeria. Professor Sadiq took the audience down memory lane, describing it as an issue that has been misrepresented by the media and politicized by vested interests, thereby distorting the real situation. He said the current narrative is one that stigmatizes pastoralists, making them lose self-esteem, raising concerns on the plight of the pastoralists even though the conflict has remote and immediate causes. using statistics to make the point that efforts being made by the present administration in collaboration with Zamfara state government, there are high hopes that the situation will be contained.
We have to build a nation. We do not build a nation by manipulating religion, manipulating ethnicity. We now marvel at China. Listen, look at the history of China. They have 30-year development plan. They pursue it, no matter who is in power.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, who set the interaction open, said the idea behind the meeting is to reassure Nigerians that the federal government is on top of the situation.
The killings resulting from farmers' herdsmen clashes, cattle rustling, transborder crimes and banditry, among others, have fallen drastically in the last couple of months. Unfortunately, this huge achievement of the federal government in collaboration with the state government has not received the same kind of media attention as the killings a few months ago.
Engaging the ministers, there were no holdbacks.
Zamfara State has faced many challenges on security: abduction, kidnapping, rustling.
In terms of the demand side, which has to do with the community members, what has federal government so far put in place?
The ministers, on their part, were well armed with every answer sought for.
I want to say that from north to south, east to west, from the diagonal Sokoto to Port Harcourt, from Lagos to Maiduguri, there is not a single individual here and in every part of this country that cannot say Nigeria has not done something for him.
There is no how military can be all over. Even if you bring 1 million military personnel across the country, they cannot ensure or keep security across the nation. You must strengthen local government council.
Zamfara State Governor Abdul Aziz Yari blamed the escalation of the crisis on past administration.
Today, we have over 1,200 different sort of security from the Army, Air Force, Civil Defense, Police, and State Security Department. The honorable ministers, we have started seeing results.
In the end, the consensus was that there is no farmers' herders crisis, but pure criminality with rural base. And for the media, there was a unanimous call for restraints in the discharge of their duties. In Gusau, Zamfara State, Anthony Fosun, NTA News.
Time to take a break for some messages. We'll be back with more reports.
Time to explore. Looks like a fun way to learn. Awesome! And this, I can learn a new language. We are music. And I can learn to play an instrument too. Cool! Games everywhere. Wow! Freebies! Free data, WhatsApp, and birthday credits? I love it here. I'm never leaving.
Play, explore, and learn with MTN M-Pulse.
Afe Babalola University graduates its first set of medical doctors. The 43 pioneer medical doctors scored 100% in their final examinations with 8 distinctions. Abuja, the pride of Nigeria's university system, Kotsi NUC, has emerged the first Nigerian university to produce 43 medical doctors within 6.5 years. Induction takes place Thursday, 13th September 2018 at 10 a.m. prompt. Venue, Alpha Belgora Memorial Hall, Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti. Expected guests are ministers and other top government officials, executive members of the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, MDCN, the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, the National Universities Commission, NUC, and other stakeholders in the Nigerian education sector. Let's join Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, to celebrate this monumental achievement. Upward, a vision in motion.
This traffic is terrible. What is your map saying?
Don't worry. The map says it will soon clear.
Driver! Hold! This bush woman. Madam, come on! See this? Whose motor do you do, Baro? Shut up! Driver! Shut up! Okay. Get it! Driver! At the end, there's a T-junction. What? See? Then there's another road that follows again. Driver! Papa, you finally came. Don't you know that with Glow Agassi, I will always be ahead?
With Glow Agassi, enjoy 125% more data to get ahead. Dial *777#. The largest data network. Glow, grandmasters of data.
Bayes University is a fully licensed university operating since 2011 and has grown to have 32 accredited programs in 6 faculties. This includes computer and applied sciences, management and social sciences, engineering, environmental sciences, law, and basic medical sciences. The university also offers postgraduate programs and foundation courses in a conducive learning environment with modern teaching facilities and high-quality national and international staff. Bayes University graduates have either progressed into respectable career positions or have obtained postgraduate degrees from different parts of the world with distinctions. Admissions for 2018-2019 academic session is ongoing. Call or visit www.bayesuniversity.edu.ng. Bayes University, Abuja. Learn to live.
Eshima. Mama. I'm out of food.
Eshima, thank you, Ma.
Amaka, Shewoni. Soap, Ori, shea butter.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Really can't wake me for death. As my matter be, it be like he say, person die, person God he can't wake up. Now so really can't wake me from death. But I not get something when they go give her unless thank you. I did get change to make farm. Then he helped me house. The house when I did before, he dey link. Before I born, 5 pikin. You know, I not get food when I go give them. That's why I share them. But now my pikin they near me. Sunday with me now. No be like before. I happy. I thank you well. I no see him, but God he go carry my I go meet her where I dey.
Welcome back. The sealing of investment agreement with Chinese companies by Governor Godwin Obaseki for the development of the Benin Port, Benin Industrial Park and a modular refinery on the site of the just concluded 2018 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in Beijing is expected to transform the state industrially. Good luck, Enaini, in this report. takes a look at the corresponding effect of these vis-a-vis the people's disposition towards this development.
With a population of over 4 million and a land mass of 17,802 kilometers square, Edo State is blessed with both human and natural resources that can engender economic growth. Since inception of the Obaseki-led administration, effort has been made to reposition the state industrially. The latest of these efforts is the sealing of deals with Chinese companies. It's expected to see to the building of a port on the Benin River, the development of the Benin Industrial Park, expected to create over 170,000 direct and indirect jobs on completion, just as the state government has equally approved the release of 170 million naira for the Benin Modular Refinery as part of her contribution to the project.
So anything we're doing today in Edo State must have a job creation component. So the investments in modular refineries, in oil and gas technologies must have a technical training capacity. We want to utilize the oil and gas assets we have to ensure that we build an industry that is local and that is self-reliant.
Some residents say the development is a major milestone to diversify the economy in line with the federal government's drive in this direction.
He should ensure that, as he has signed the agreement, that is carried out, maybe within his period.
I think it's a very wise idea. If he can do that, it will be great.
The agreement will further consolidate on the existing relationship between China and Edo State. In Benin, I am Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
Against all odds, the federal government has pledged to deliver the Lagos-Ibadan rail line in December this year, while other subsectors of transportation are receiving attention to enable the sector play its role as an important component of the nation's economy. Reiterating this pledge in an interactive session with journalists in Abuja, Minister of Transportation Rotimi Chibika-Amechi said the federal government has approved $495 million to secure Nigerian waterways. Ronke Kolawole reports.
The transportation sector is massive and regarded as an untapped gold mine. This could be an underpinning factor that led the President Buhari administration to embark on a series of reforms to revamp the infrastructure in achieving its quest to diversify the economy. Minister of Transportation told the journalist that the efforts are paying off as all the subsectors are being improved upon to make them economically viable, effective and efficient in service delivery to Nigerians.
When we get cabinet approval, we will then have to procure all the necessary equipment that will ensure that goods are cleared in one day. But we are still in that process. One thing we did assure Nigerians is safety. That's the first thing we addressed as soon as we came.
The minister also gave a scorecard of some of the ongoing rail projects across the country.
It's the one from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. We have changed the alignment from the one from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. The alignment is from Port Harcourt straight to Maiduguri. Then there are two spots, the alignment, from Port Harcourt to Owerri to Newi to Oka. Oka, you jump across at Enugu and go to Abakaliki.
The success of dry ports, depends actually on rail connection because they are supposed to bring the transportation down.
Being the hallmark of Nigeria's exportation drive, the Executive Secretary said the Shippers Council is collaborating with Nigerian Railway Corporation to increase locomotives and wagons on the Abuja-Kaduna Railway. Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
The Nasarawa state government has initiated a move for the relocation of gas depots and refilling outlets out of Lafayette city center to forestall the reoccurrence of Monday's explosion, which killed scores of people and destroyed properties. Joshua Ojito reports that the governor gave this indication during a visit to the scene of the accident.
There are currently 36 persons who sustained various degrees of injury receiving medical treatment. 17 out of the number have been referred to the National Trauma Center, Abuja, where 2 died, bringing the total number of those who lost their lives to 9, including a baby. He directs the relevant agency to cordon off the site immediately for investigation into the remote and immediate causes of the disaster. Also, the state government is to review town planning laws on siting of business outlets that have high risk to people's lives in order to forestall reoccurrence of the disaster.
Those gas stations that are already operating within the state must have to comply with this safe distance locational approval that would have to be a minimum of about 50 meters or 100 meters from the nearest settlement. We, as a state, are concerned about this, and we'll sit together with all the authorities that are relevant in the approval of such vocations or businesses.
While visiting the victims, Governor Al-Mukura assures them of best medical treatment. Meanwhile, Senator Abdullahi Adamu condoled with the government and people of Nasarawa State over the explosion. In Lafia, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
The National Space Research and Development Agency has released a preliminary investigative report on the Abuja earth tremors. Mia Ogidi reports.
The fact that Pape Hills provide a panoramic view of Abuja attract many to this prized area. This attraction, however, took a different dimension on Wednesday, 5th of September 2018, as 4 shocks experienced earlier on culminated at earth tremors on Friday the 7th.
The thing have stopped, so we didn't express such thing again.
The National Space Research and Development Agency, through the Center of Geodesy and Geodynamics in Bauchi, has confirmed that the tremor was in a magnitude of 3, with a stress drop of 2.1 bar and length of fault displacement of 0.56 kilometers.
When you have a particular fault line in a particular place, the major thing you do is to make sure that such activities are minimized.
The physical site visit was undertaken in order to determine the vulnerability index of structures in the area and for future disaster risk mitigation. Detailed site response study will be carried out later to help in the holistic planning in the wider area of Mpape and adjacent districts in Abuja City in general.
The agency, however, advised that terrain and mining activities should only be carried out after proper geological check on areas of operation. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
The federal government has directed the immediate deportation of 36 Indians and 2 Democratic Republic of Korea nationals with immediate effect. A statement by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Dr. Mohammed Bello Umar, says the Indian nationals gained entry into the country with fake visas and counterfeit immigration stamps, while the Korean nationals failed to regularize their stay upon the expiration of their contract with the Zamfara state government. The Minister of Interior signed the deportation order, which is pursuant to Section 45 of the Nigeria Immigration Act 2015. Time now to link up with Hengino in Lagos for more reports.
Thank you, Kenny, for joining us in Lagos. Pension operators have been told to cooperate with high corporate governance standards. This was at the Conference of Directors of Licensed Pension Operators held in Lagos. Correspondent Nenrot Nina Musa reports.
These are directors of the pension operators in Nigeria at the 2018 edition of their conference, which has as its theme consolidating the Nigeria pension industry through sustainable investment and excellence in corporate governance. Pioneer Director General of PENCOM, Muhammad Ahmad, considered the theme as he says the pension industry should be focused on consolidating towards a promising future.
That this is a trustee job. You are managing somebody's money. And to that extent, you must ensure that you have an institution that meets the highest standard of code of corporate governance with the right skills and expertise, at least to drive that business.
Acting Director General of PENCOM, Aisha Dahir Umar, says the conference provides an opportunity to stress the objectives of the contributory pension scheme.
This transformation this pension reform has brought has placed a heavy burden on their shoulders. But we in PENCOM believe the directors are up to the task and they will take their responsibilities very seriously.
Some members of the National Assembly stressed the need for more sensitization on the benefits of the pension scheme, as well as address the remittances of deducted funds.
Now, as administrators of this fund, let us make it public that, look, you are making a lot of gain in what we're investing. And I think Labour will support you.
And to appeal to the executive that they should do everything possible to release more money so that the accrued rights should be paid as at when due, so that this scheme of pension will be sustained.
President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Ayuba Waba, stressed the need to protect pension funds as the lives of many pensioners depend on it. In Lagos, Nerot Nina Musa, NTA News.
The Department of Adult Education, University of Lagos, is empowering women with life skills and knowledge towards ending the rape scourge. Dr. Oguyemi reports that the theme for the seminar is defense culture against rape of women and girls.
According to UNESCO, about 774 million adults lack minimum literacy skills. The International Literacy Day is therefore a reminder of the importance of literacy to socio-economic development. This seminar, organized by the Department of Adult Education in the University of Lagos, decided to expose women, young girls, and their male counterparts to life skills and knowledge towards making them more productive and encouraging them with self-defense techniques against rape.
It's as if almost we have a culture of silence concerning the topic.
We don't want the culture of what do we do after you have been raped. We want to empower young ladies and even their male counterparts.
Speakers at the event shared tips like carrying a whistle, having pepper spray, not going alone to a man's house, and some martial arts techniques.
Some even don't know those signals to know when rape is coming.
When you educate people about the consequence of rape, it will even prevent them from actually engaging in such acts.
In Lagos, Dotun Oguyemi, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. More reports ahead after this timeout. Please stay with us.
NTA, how is Atlanta? I'm just getting ready for a photo shoot. Got my makeup on.
Hey Klaus, how you doing? How is Germany?
Hold on, 1 minute.
I haven't seen the containers yet. Oh, they are still in India.
Hello, Mama. Guess who's online?
Hey Rajesh, what time is it in India?
How is South Africa, Mama? Aren't you spending too much on calls now? Don't you worry about it, Mama, because with Glow, you only need to pay 200 Naira a month, and you get up to 85% discount on all calls to over 200 international destinations.
See, I'm going to let you guys sort this out.
Now. Time for the photo shoot. Love you. Bye.
Where's the photographer?
Hey, my friend. How are things going in Canada?
Glow International Call Slasher. Pay 200 Naira monthly fee to get up to 85% discount to call over 200 international destinations. Dial *777# to choose your plan. The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
In Nigeria, there is one sound we need to silence. So let's silence toothache before it starts with Oral-B All-Round Protection. Its advanced technology helps prevent both tooth holes and gum problems that can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your teeth, giving them all-round protection. Because the only sound we really want to hear is that of our future. For healthier, stronger teeth in 1 week.
Well, when I was growing up, it wasn't an easy thing for us because my parents were struggling. That's why when I started playing basketball, I need to play, I need to struggle, I need to achieve. I want to make something out of it. I graduated from the Milo Secondary School Games to the senior league. Then they called me that I should come and play junior World Cup qualifiers. Following here, I was invited to the senior national team. I've been awarded as the most valuable player 5 times. My teammates, they made it possible. Basketball, it gave me the opportunity to have my own basketball camp, giving back to the society. Because you know what you've passed through. I need to show the kids that basketball really changed my life. My name is Nkechi, and this is our journey.
Nestle, good food, good life.
We now go to business news, where federal government explains Paris Club refund to states. Let's join Amina Nujem for details.
Following the Paris Club refund approval for the 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Finance on Tuesday provided some clarification for the refund. This was contained in a statement signed by Director of Communications to the Ministry, Hassan Dodo. The statement says the issue of the Paris Club loan over deductions has been a standing dispute between the federal government and state government since 1995. And in response to this dispute, President Muhammadu Buhari directed that claims of over-deductions should be formally and individually reconciled by the Debt Management Office. The final approval of $2.689 billion is subject to payment of salary and related arrears, commitment to the commencement of the repayment of budget support loans granted in 2016, clearing of amounts due to the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, commitment to clear the matching grants from the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. As an interim measure to alleviate the financial challenges of states during the 2016 recession, the President approved that 50% of the amounts claimed by states be paid to enable states clear salaries and pension arrears, and was released between 1st December and 29 September 2017. And from the equities market, the O-share index lost 0.48%, maintaining the downward trend which started the week to see the O-share index close at 33,449.17 basis point, while market capitalization stood at 12.211 trillion naira. Financial institutions, namely Guarantee Trust Bank, UBA and Diamond Bank, were the most traded stocks. That wraps up business news. I am Amina Hussein.
Nigerian Export-Import Bank has earmarked 1 billion naira to finance the production and exportation of sesame crop in Katsina State as part of efforts to diversify Nigeria's economy from oil and gas as the main foreign exchange earner. The managing director of Nexim Bank, Abba Ali, disclosed this when he paid a working visit to the Katsina State Governor, Aminu Bello Masari, at the government house. Correspondent Bashir Bala has details.
The Nigerian Import-Export Bank has set up State Export Development Fund with the aim to identify and finance strategic export agricultural products across the country. The managing director says Nexim Bank, under the fund, has earmarked 37 billion naira for the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, to support primary production and exportation of exportable commodities. He said Katsina State was selected to pilot the scheme with 1 billion naira to support the exportation of sesame crop before the end of this year's harvest season. Abba Ali explained that the 1 billion naira earmarked to kickstart the project in Katsina State will be distributed to grassroots farmers at concessional interest rates using the federal government's anchor borrowers model.
We are going to boost the production of the commodity, and by doing that you are creating jobs. Okay? And in the long run, not only Katsina State, but the national economy as a whole benefits from the growth, expected growth in export of commodities from Nigeria into the global market.
Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari described the initiative as a welcome development, noting that anything that promotes agriculture upgrades the living standards of the people. In Katsina, Bishir Bala, NTA News.
It's now time to join Jumei in our Maiduguri studios for more stories.
Okene, and thanks for joining us in Maiduguri.
Participants, including Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima, have rounded up a high-level humanitarian conference on the Lake Chad region in Germany, with donor countries pledging $1.2 billion on grants meant to fund humanitarian interventions for 1.7 million people affected by regional crisis, including the Boko Haram insurgency. The conference brought together 27 countries, 24 regional and international organizations, as well as representatives of national and international civil society groups. Mohamed Goni reports.
Funds pledged by donor countries around the world are to be gradually released to UN agencies and other humanitarian workers to facilitate nutritional and emergency medical support, shelters and livelihoods to beneficiaries through numerous humanitarian operations in different areas. Participants at the conference, including Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima and other stakeholders, made far-reaching contributions. Joint organizers of the conference, comprising the United Nations, Government of Germany, Nigeria, and Norway, described the conference as a huge success, given the pledges made. The highest pledge came from the United States, followed by Germany, the European Union, and the United Kingdom. Participants agreed on the need to scale up humanitarian interventions, with humanitarian agencies given increased access to funding. During the conference, the governor took part in a series of meetings and made far-reaching contributions, emphasizing the need for enhanced regional cooperation through the Lake Chad Basin Commission, as well as crisis prevention and stabilization. In Maiduguri, Mohamed Goni, NTA News.
Recruitment of over 2,000 teachers for the over 40 newly built mega schools and other reconstructed schools has commenced in Borno State. The recruitment followed approval given by Governor Kashim Shettima in the quest to resuscitate the education sector, which had suffered the most during the 8 years of Boko Haram crisis. Mohamed Goni completes the report.
With the emergence of relative peace in most parts of the state, the Borno State government built over 40 mega schools with targeted enrollment of over 50,000 children orphaned by the Boko Haram insurgency, in addition to the construction of schools damaged by the insurgents across the state. In the course of the insurgency, many teachers lost their lives, while large numbers left the state. A visit to the office of the State Teaching Service Board revealed a large turnout of applicants waiting on queue to collect their copies of the application forms in the exercise expected to last for 2 weeks.
Things have been going smoothly because they have a lot of people working.
Head of Service Akitegerima Saleh explained that of the 1,000 vacancies for the permanent teachers, 800 slots have been reserved for bachelor degree holders, especially in the sciences and English language, while 200 applicants should be holders of National Certificate of Education, NCE.
Another 1,000 on voluntary basis. The category of the voluntary ones will be mostly retired teachers who are still active. And then other cadres will also include some degree holders and administrative officers and engineers will also be employed.
The head of service urged the team youths in the state to take advantage of the opportunities given to them. In Maiduguri, Mohamed Goni, NTA News.
That's it from Maiduguri. We have more reports from our Sokoto Network Center.
Thank you, Jumai, and a warm welcome to Sokoto. Presidential Committee on Prison Reforms and Decongestion has released 71 inmates in Sokoto Central Prison during its official visit to the state. Chairman of the committee, Justice Ishaq Bello, frowned at how some civil matters turned to criminal cases. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila completes the report.
It took the Presidential Committee about 7 hours to release files of and those awaiting trial. After careful study and consultations, some of the inmates were released while others were sent back to the prison. 71 inmates were released on the grounds of age, ill health, while some got their fines paid by the federal government. However, some inmates convicted for taking drugs were released but referred to the National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency for rehabilitation. The committee, however, had no mercy for those convicted of drug dealing. Chairman, Presidential Committee on Prisons Reform and Decongestion, Justice Ishaq Bello, said the aim is not only to decongest prisons, but to ensure speedy dispensation of justice.
They should be able to take
steps to demonstrate example by dealing with those who are in the habit of converting civil matters to criminal trial just for the purpose of bringing behind bars the parties that are involved.
Chief Judge, Sokoto State, Justice Bello Abbas, and representative of Sokoto State Governor, Suleiman Usman, acknowledged the lapses found by the committee and pledged to work towards correcting the anomalies. In Sokoto, Abrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
We now take another break. When we return, sports.
Prosecution of electoral offences is the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Electoral offences in the polity, all sides of the coin with key stakeholders on NTA Tuesday Live. It promises to be educating and exciting. Join us.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
The Rivers State government announces the funeral program in honor of the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice,
Emmanuel Chiwenwo Aguma Esquire SAN, Wednesday, 12 September 2018. Public lecture titled The Rule of Law and Leadership in Nigeria's Democracy, the Role of the Attorney General. Guest lecturer, Professor Epiphany Azinge SAN. Chairman, E.C. Okala SAN. Venue, Dr. Obiwale International Conference Center, Port Harcourt at 10 a.m. Thursday, 13 September 2018. Night of Tributes at Rex Lawson Cultural Center, 6 p.m. Friday, 14 September 2018. Service of Songs at St. Paul's Cathedral, Diobo at 6 p.m. Saturday, 15 September 2018. 12 noon. Funeral service at St. Paul's Cathedral, Diobo. Sunday, 16 September 2018. Thanksgiving service at St. Paul's Cathedral, Diobo at 10 a.m. Signed, Right Honorable Austin Opera, OFR, Chairman, Burial Committee.
Ayodeji Makinde now brings our sports update.
Minister of